Greg,
Shane,
what's up?
how much are you doing?
Good. See the debate?
It was sort of a train wreck.
I think that it brought to light a lot of what we've been saying all along. It was on full display for the whole world to see.
Pretty scary.
And it's made the rounds on social media, on the news, everything like that. But I think, what people are missing are some of the things he actually did say,
Yeah.
right? Like some of the actual policy positions, once you got through his mumbling and stumbling and whatever he was doing, his naps, I guess, his standing naps.
Mm-hmm.
Um,
That's an impressive talent, by the way.
some of us have it, some of us don't.
I don't.
I've been known to. But some of the policy stuff, especially like the raising the Social Security on people that make $400,000 a year or more.
Mm-hmm.
What was the exact quote? It was, "I would not raise the cost of Social Security for anybody under 400K. After that, I begin to make the wealthy begin to pay their fair share." There's that their fair share thing again. Like,
Mm-hmm.
what's a fair share? I hate that. Like, I absolutely hate it. Obama used to say it all the time. Fair share. I mean, come on, man. Like,
Oh,
who's
yeah.
making those numbers up?
I'll tell you what, that's one of my, I love it when a liberal goes there because the obvious question coming right back at him is, okay, what constitutes a fair share?
Right.
And 201, they can't answer that. The best answer I've ever gotten from a liberal on what constitutes a fair share is, well, more than it is now. But most of them don't know how much it is now.
I don't know why they think that they're entitled to other people's money. I don't
It's a
understand that at
fundamental
all.
tenet of liberalism.
Yeah, I don't get it.
But let's break down what he said about Social Security because it's so wrong on so many levels. Okay. For starters, talk about making the wealthy pay their fair share. Okay, it's something a lot of people don't understand. Wealth does not equal income.
Great.
You can have wealth without having income. For instance, from an inheritance. You can have income without having wealth. It doesn't matter how high your income is. If you're spending more than you're earning, you will not accumulate any wealth.
Right.
So fundamentally, right there, from the very get-go, what he said makes no sense.
So you're saying wealth is retained assets.
Yeah.
Right? It's not, I make over 400, I make over $500,000 a year. That's not wealth. That's
income.
If I have $510,000 in bills, which, in this economy is most small businesses, right?
Mm-hmm.
Doesn't mean you're wealthy. It just means you're getting by like everybody else.
Right.
You just are driving more business.
Yeah.
Without actually retaining any more because the inflation rate's through the roof.
And, income, again, if you're living in downtown Los Angeles and making $150,000 a year, you're just scraping by.
Absolutely.
If you're living in rural Mississippi making $150,000 a year, you're living like a king.
Correct.
Which one of those two individuals is more likely to be wealthy?
Obviously the one in rural Mississippi.
Precisely.
But yeah, so $400,000 didn't make any sense to me. You say $400,000, like I said, that's a majority of small businesses. That's that tax bracket, business owners.
Mm-hmm.
They employ, maybe 10 to 50 people, or 1 to 50 people. Most of that money is going back into the business, so they can either expand or just maintain. Just keep up with current whatever widget it is they provide.
Yep.
A lot of that money just goes right back into that, right?
Oh, absolutely, I agree. And back to the whole fair share thing, where it pertains to Social Security, what would that fair share likely be? Well, right now we're taxed 6.2% of our income, up to $168,600 a year for Social Security, and our employers match that 6.2%.
And we'll never see that.
Yeah, very possibly we won't. We certainly won't see.
No, I don't even mean in the worst case scenario when I say we'll never see that. That means that the system's defunct. Because in my mind, it's already a Ponzi scheme. You've got an entire generation paying for the benefits of older generations currently. That money that they paid into it, that's not the money being spent. It's always going to be a generation two behind. And so between that, not matching, not keeping up with inflation, some of the things we've talked about, like a steady decrease in the birth rate in this country, which obviously turns into a lack of workforce, which means less money being paid into that system. I don't know how that is sustainable. But to my point, what I was getting at with the whole, it's not. We're not going to see that. If I'm paying 168,000, what was that? 168,600.
You're paying tax on up to the first $168,600 of your income.
Okay, so let's
is
do that
what
math.
you're taxed on.
That's what? That's $376,000 a year, give or take. If I
336, yeah.
If I was maxing it out, 336, okay. Because my employer's matching.
So about $20,000.
And if I did that for 20 years, let's say I'm out of my 20s now and in the mid-30s working towards retirement, 20, 25 years of that, I should have millions paid into that system. What's the maximum payout on Social Security? Like $4,800. That's your max benefit.
And that's if you wait until age 70 to take it.
Correct.
Yeah. Yeah.
I only know that because my dad's on Social Security. And so his max benefit's $4,800. That's it.
Yep.
Does that equal $336,000 a year for 20 plus years? Let's just do 20. How much money is that?
The tax on the 336 would be about 20,000 times whatever your working career is. So no, in answer to your question, what you would actually end up with if you were able to keep that money on your own behalf and put it to work for you, you'd end up far better off than what you are with Social Security. One of the things I think a lot of people don't know about is how we got into this mess in the first place. How much do you know about the infancy, the creation of Social Security?
Just what we learned in school, right? Which is it was put in place by FDR as it was touted as a safety net for your societal position, not necessarily your retirement, but just all of these people had just lost a bunch of money during the Depression and the stock market during the crashes. FDR came in and said, "We're going to save you. We're going to put this, temporary thing in place so that we can, you're not destitute. There will be some, financial relief." But as with any government program, it just grew bigger and bigger, and you can't get rid of it once it's here. Personally, I think it was a political ploy.
Absolutely.
Just pandering for votes. I mean, anytime you say, "We're going to give you money," people that don't know any better immediately think, "Oh yeah, give me money," not realizing that it's your money to begin with. Dummy.
And I'll tell you, and you're hitting the nail on the head there. So a little bit of the background, and yes, it was totally political. FDR was looking for glory and adulation, and he purposely set up a system that he knew was doomed to fail. And if you don't mind, I'm going to geek out on this a little bit.
Do it.
So, 1935, FDR signed the Social Security bill into law. In order to do so, he had to threaten the Republican congressional minority that he was going to pack the Supreme Court. That was the only thing that got them to back off. He threatened to add 4 Supreme Court justices.
That sounds familiar.
Doesn't it though? If they didn't relent and let him sign Social Security into law. So that's what we started with. In 1937, they enacted the first Social Security tax. It was 1% on the first $3,000 of your earnings. In other words, the maximum that you could pay into Social Security was $30 a year. And there that tax stayed until 1950 when they started raising it. Now let's look at where it is today. They started raising it. By 1990, the Social Security tax rate was 6.2%. That's a 520% increase in the tax rate that you're being charged. And now today, you can be taxed not on $3,000, but on up to $168,600. The maximum that you can be taxed, the maximum amount of income that you can be taxed, has risen 83% faster over that time period than the rate of inflation.
Right.
Okay, now we put those two together.
But so let me ask you: is the reason that they keep increasing is they're trying to keep up with inflation, or is it just because there's fewer people paying into it at the top rate?
Wink, wink, nudge, nudge. They're trying to keep up with inflation.
That's what I thought.
But how do you argue you're trying to keep up with inflation when you're raising something by more
when you're taxing people
than the rate of inflation?
Right. Which tax is all based on inflation rates already. So it's a circular argument.
Yeah, it is. Now, the result of that, when you put the fact that they raised the tax rate by 520% and the fact that they raised the amount of income you can be taxed on by 83%, the outcome of that is Social Security is now collecting taxes on individuals up to 9.5%, or 9.5 times more in real dollars than they were back in 1949. Now, any business, any organization that has 9.5 times more revenue than it did, it should be awash in money, right? They should be in the black. They should be swimming in money.
That's the margin for a lot of small businesses.
No, not 9.5%, 9.5 times.
Oh, 9.5.
They have 9.5 times more revenue.
Yeah.
Okay, so if you had a buck, now you have 10.50.
No, I got you.
Yeah. Okay, so massive increases in the amount of revenue they have coming in. Any organization should be able to make that work, but you know what? There's one that can't, and that is the United States federal government.
Name one program that they have that's solvent. Like, that's whenever somebody tells me, "Oh, we need the government to pick anything." I dare anybody pick one thing. Show me solvency.
The post office. Oh no, wait,
no,
not the post office.
Yeah, that's probably the worst right now.
Exactly.
Right.
So no, it's a mess. It's a mess, and where they have gotten us to. I'll say it and then I'll define it. As we sit here today, Social Security, the Social Security system, has a $25.2 trillion present value, future unfunded liability over the 75-year time horizon. That's a mouthful. What the heck does it mean? Present value, $25.2 trillion is what we would have to come up with today, invested at interest, so that Social Security would be able to meet the obligations that it is made over the next 75 years. Why 75 years? Because our kids are already paying into Social Security, and they're going to live that long, and they're going to need to be able to receive the benefits.
Right.
Now, $25 trillion, that's about $74,000 for every man, woman, and child in America. But it gets worse. The present value unfunded liabilities of Medicare are more than twice that large.
Absolutely.
And then you've got the 35 or whatever it is, $1 trillion federal debt.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so in combination, every man, woman, and child today in America would have to come up with approximately $250,000 right now and hand it over to the government.
Just to be flush.
Just to be flush, just to be solvent.
Mm-hmm.
That's the hole they've dug.
So what's the right answer?
Well, next time we have this discussion, let's talk about a lot of the wrong answers, because there are a lot of people who think they know how to solve this, and they don't.
Right.
And then there is, I think, one right answer. That's going to piss a lot of people off. Retake that. It's going to upset a lot of people.
Yeah, I'm sure it will, because if I know you, I'm pretty sure I know what you're thinking.
Yeah, but we'll save that for next time.
Okay. Well, cool.
Yeah.
Thanks.
You bet.